Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Jam-packed show for you, but a lot of it's going to happen to go through comments made today by Jimbo Fisher. And, I'm going to play you. It all started with some things that Nick Saban said last night. Okay. And this is some stuff that made Jimbo Fisher angry. Okay. It's kind of the best way to go with it. But I've got some stuff with Jimbo Fisher here that we're going to play in just a moment. But I want to talk a little bit about, I want to play the clip from Nick Saban first. And this is Nick Saban talking about the NIL and how the comment that kind of threw everything off with Texas A&M. So here we go. This is from Nick Saban.
But I know the consequence is going to be difficult for the people who are spending tons of money to get players. And you've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it.
All right, so what happens then is that Jimbo Fisher decides, you know what? I'm going to call a press conference today, and I'm going to respond to that. And he basically just lit into Nick Saban. This is about 2 minutes worth of comments here, but you can just tell Jimbo Fisher was not happy.
First of all, I'll say it's a shame. That we have to do this. It's really despicable. It's despicable that somebody can say things about somebody and an organization. More importantly, 17-year-old kids. You're taking shots at 17-year-old kids and their families. That they broke state laws. That they're all money. We bought every player on this group. We never bought anybody. No rules were broken. Nothing was done wrong. It was all in the way we do things, the ethics in which we do things. And these families, it's despicable that a reputable head coach could come out and say this when he doesn't get his way or things don't go his way. The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen. It's ridiculous. But when he's not on top, and the parity in college football he's been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach for him. You'll find out all the parity. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything. And it's a shame that you got to sit here and defend 17-year-old kids and families and Texas A&M because we do things right. We're always going to do things right. But we're always going to be here. We're doing a heck of a job. These coaches have done a great job. Our players have done a great job. The whole organization of recruiting people. It's despicable that we got to sit here at this level of ball and say these things to defend the people of this organization, the kids, 17-year-old kids and their families. It's amazing. Some people think they're God. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out, what he does and how he does it. And it's despicable. It really is. And it's a shame we have to sit up here and have this conversation about things we do. And it's personal to us. Yes, it is. It's personal to A&M. It's personal to our players. It's personal to our coaches and everybody involved. And I know the guy. Know him really well. It's amazing that we're allowed to do those things. It's really despicable. And I hate it for our players who are coming here, who did things the right way, have done things the right way, and will continue to do things the right way. I apologize to you that people insult you publicly the way they're doing it. And our fans, I apologize to you guys for people saying those things about Texas A&M. I promise you this, there are no violations. There are nothing wrong. It's the second time we've had to do this with grown men who don't get their way and want to pout, throw a fit, and act up. Just go ask all the people who work for him. You'll know exactly what he's about. I always said this. My dad always told me this. When people show you who they are, believe them. He's showing you who he is.
All right. So first of all, a couple of things. One, we need to make sure that we have all of everything on a level playing field here. NIL and collectives right now are not against the law. What Texas A&M did was not against the law. So technically, Jimbo Fisher is correct. All right. Now, Nick Saban put that out there that they used NIL as a recruiting tool, and he didn't appreciate that. I'm not saying that I completely back Nick Saban either, because I think that with what Jimbo Fisher said, he is probably right. There are things in Nick Saban's past that if we knew about him, we wouldn't be putting him up on this big, huge, wonderful world that we have him in. But here's the thing. First of all, if you're going to come out and have this press conference and you say dig into his past, why don't you have a satchel, sir? And why don't you just say on X date he did this, on Y date he did that? Go and look into that instead of all just go out there and research. No. If you know something and you want to have you want to play big boy football and you want to challenge someone who up until this point had been completely clean across the board, you should come with some what's the term I want to use? Come with some proof. All right.
Things. You come to other people and learn how not to do things. There's a reason people don't go, I ain't went back and worked for him with opportunities.
Coach, back behind the
Don't be
lights.
associated with it.
All right. So with all of that, okay, he said all of those things, but why don't we talk about some of the other things that, Jimbo Fisher has said about Nick Saban? Oh, I don't know. Let's start with this.
Listen, Nick is one heck of a football coach. I've known Nick for years. I've considered him a great friend. Coach with him, have a lot of respect for him. He's got great teams.
Okay. Well, a great friend. He's a great friend, but go and look into his past. Does that compute at all? I mean, Fisher did say this.
He's doing it the best of anybody, and for a long time, maybe the best ever. You don't know. I mean, guy is tremendously successful, and if you're a competitor, you want to go against the best, and you're getting the SEC and go against Nick, you're going to find out, and they're going to challenge you in every phase of your program. They're going to challenge you because they're going to have their I's dotted and T's crossed, and it's going to make us all better coaches and better people around, and it's going to be tremendously tough. That's for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But wait a minute. Oh, there's more. Fisher said you guys built him up to be the greatest and put him up there. Oh, but wait a minute. Aren't you one of the people that are building kind of the altar to Saban there, saying things like this?
I think, first of all, the consistency in which he goes to his job. But, Nick, deep down, I mean, he's fun to have conversations with. I mean, he's just a very down-to-earth, good guy who cares about people.
Okay. Well, the guy that cares about people kind of called you out on the way that you were doing things. And, yeah, what you were doing was technically was correct. But in reality, do you really sit back and think, okay, maybe we gained a competitive advantage by putting together a collective first in Texas? Maybe we got out and got a little bit ahead of folks. And we had to have that collective advantage to finally get past Nick Saban when it comes to the recruiting rankings. And by the way, just because you have the number one ranked recruiting class in the country doesn't mean anything. You've done jack since you've gotten to the SEC. All right. Yeah, you did great at Florida State. Awesome. But have you won the West? Surely you've won the West with the way that you're running your mouth now, right? What am I missing? My favorite is still this, though.
Listen, Nick is one heck of a football coach. I've known Nick for years. I've considered him a great friend. Coach with him, have a lot of respect for him. He's got great teams.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Nick Saban also said something else. I'm going to play this clip for you. He basically said what Dabo Swinney said, but, since it wasn't Dabo Swinney, it wasn't really looked upon well when Dabo Swinney said it. But here's what Nick Saban said just yesterday about universities paying players.
The thing that I fear is at some point in time, they're just going to say we're going to have to pay players. If we start paying players, we're going to have to eliminate sports. All right. And this is all bad for college sports. I mean, we probably have 450 people on scholarship at Alabama, whether they're women's tennis players, women's softball players, golfers, baseball players, non-revenue sports that have for years and years and years been able to create a better life for themselves because they've been able to get scholarships and participate in college athletics. That's what college athletics is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be something where people come and make money and you make a decision about where you go to school based on how much money you're going to make.
Wait a minute. Oh, Dabo Swinney said that before. But the folks that were running their mouths about, Dabo Swinney doesn't care about the players. No. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too because Lord Saban said it. Okay? He cut and pasted Dabo Swinney's comments and used them for his own. It's just the way that it is. Dabo Swinney just came out and said it first. That's the big thing here. But once again, we have Jimbo Fisher basically responding to what Nick Saban said. And yeah, they got that collective together quickly there at Texas A&M, and it was not against the law. But why call a press conference? I don't understand that. Is that going to change the recruiting rankings? Seriously, are any of those kids that are signed on there, are they going to change their minds? No, they're not. So, but you have to go and call a press conference just because Nick Saban was doing I think it was like one of those rubber chicken dinner things last night where they go around and do like a tour of the state. Yeah, that's what Saban was doing last night on the stage with folks. So you're responding to him because maybe you don't feel adequate when you have to be mentioned in the same breath as Nick Saban. I'm not saying Nick Saban's a saint, by the way. Corey Jenkins, who played for him at Miami when he was with the Dolphins, said some things on our program about Nick Saban that were not very polite. But the silliness of Fisher, especially after he said things like this.
Listen, Nick is one heck of a football coach. I've known Nick for years. I've considered him a great friend. Coach with him, have a lot of respect for him. He's got great teams.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go out to the phones. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Are you trying to win the dumbest radio show host award of the year?
Go ahead. Look, I'm not even going to say anything because I guarantee you what you're going to say is going to be galactically stupid. So go ahead. I'm going to turn my mic off. Just speak. Go ahead. Be dumb. Go ahead. Go.
Okay, so everybody listen up. Turn your volume up because what I'm going to say is going to be galactically stupid. You just said the number one recruiting class in the nation means nothing. The problem with that is every single statistic that is ever kept on recruiting goes directly against that. But I'm the dumb one. You can spew nonsense like that, and I'm the dumb one.
When you have the number one ranked recruiting class and you don't do anything with it, remember, Texas A&M has been finishing no worse than 6th when Jimbo Fisher is there. What does that say about him? He has top 6 classes and can't do anything with it, right?
Can't do anything with it.
Has he won the West, sir?
8 wins.
Has he won the West, sir? Has he won the West? Just answer the question. Has he won the West?
Did Dabo win his division last year?
Has he won the West, sir?
Did Dabo win his?
Dabo's won national titles. He has twice as many national titles as Jimbo Fisher, but we don't need to get into Dabo Swinney. Just answer the question. Has he won
No,
the
I'm not
West?
answering that question.
Okay, because
that's
it's
what
not
you
a valid
do.
question. It's not a question that fulfills your argument. In the Jimbo Fisher Club, where you sit there and whine because Nick Saban has been punching you in the throat forever. And I understand you're a Georgia fan. You've been getting punched in the face a lot by Alabama. You finally got them last year. Congratulations. But now you want to go on. You want to be the guy that's being chased. That's why you're on the Jimbo Fisher fan club. You should be calling me every day. And we've talked about this, talking about how great Georgia is. And all you want to do is just run up the Jimbo Fisher flagpole. Why is that? Oh, you don't want to answer that either.
I'm being respectful and letting you finish. I'm only going on good faith that you're going to do the same to me.
Sure. Absolutely. Go ahead.
You just said he's been being punched in the face by Nick Saban. Yes, the greatest coach to ever coach the game, God forbid, has beaten him more times than not. By the way, Jimbo just beat him last year, which is a huge accomplishment. Let's not kid ourselves.
Sure.
And now this guy reels off the best recruiting class in the history of college football, quite possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on air, actually on air,
yep.
presumably sober,
yep.
and saying that means nothing.
It doesn't mean anything unless you can develop it, sir. You can have great recruiting classes, but if you don't develop it, it doesn't mean anything. Don't you think player development means something?
What you really mean is if he doesn't win a national championship this year in the toughest division in football, if he doesn't win it, then he's a failure because he had the number one recruiting. You did the same exact thing with Kirby last year until Kirby absolutely embarrassed you by going out, winning the Natty, and beating Nick Saban with a midget quarterback. He did that.
Don't use that term. They don't like that. I'll get calls about that, sir. Don't use that
whatever.
term.
I can't think of anything dumber you possibly could have said today. I really can't.
Look.
Congratulations. And then having the gall to call other people stupid. That's amazing, sir.
I can't. I stand by what I said, too. You can have the number one ranked recruiting class, but if you can't develop it and you can't turn it around and win with it, and not this year, no one's expecting them to win this year. It should be next season when they're sophomores. You haven't heard my picks on Texas A&M, sir. You haven't for not for the following season. I expect them with that class. If it's going to be developed correctly, they should be competing for a national title, not this year, but next year.
And you already said last week, you said if they are to win it, it means nothing to you because they cheated to get it, which they did not.
They used a workaround to get it. I mean, that's what Nick Saban said. Are you going against what Nick Saban said about getting the collectives first before everybody else? Is that what your problem is?
I'm one of the few that actually works for a living, so I couldn't hear that. I'm sorry. I'm sure that it was delightful. It really set you off, whatever he did say. But
sure.
I just can't imagine. All the statistics point to a direct correlation between top 5 top recruiting classes and national championships. So you're telling me he's not at least knocking the crap out of the rest of the field in recruiting right now, which, by the way, is the lifeblood, the foundation for national championship.
That's awesome. But you know what? Georgia hung a national championship banner, and they'd much rather have that than the recruiting title that they had every year. Don't you agree upon that? Okay.
Of course.
You made my point for me, sir.
They were going up against the greatest coach in college football history, so you conveniently leave that out.
You have to play him every year. Come on, man.
Well, they have been here lately, not obviously not on the regular schedule, but you know who they go up against. Don't play dumb. You may say dumb things, but you're not a dumb individual.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to spew at us, sir?
43-18.
Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your bat of stupid sandwich as you're walking down the road there. 803-978-1832. I appreciate Megan calling up and supporting Jimbo Fisher because I don't think anybody else is going to in reality. I mean, the way that he called a special press conference, how inadequate do you have to feel as a human being? That's like somebody that drives like a big monster truck that doesn't have a farm. You're just driving one of those big old trucks and then, you're an accountant. You know who you are. You're trying to compensate, and that's what he's doing. Oh, Nick Saban said this about us. None of it matters. In the end, none of it matters what Nick Saban said. He was commenting to an Alabama audience, and it made you so angry you had to call a full press conference today. But hey, you went from, oh, I'm not going to be associated with him anymore, but
Listen, Nick is one heck of a football coach. I've known Nick for years. I've considered him a great friend. Coach with him, have a lot of respect for him, and he's got great teams.
yeah. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Look at Jay. Very good, Jay. We'll read that when we come back. Oh, I'm sorry. Happy birthday to Alan. You want to know the most amazing thing in this planet is Alan has a beautiful child that he's posted pictures of on Facebook. I mean, I'm talking an absolutely beautiful child. But you know what that is? Somebody slept with him. That's the biggest thing ever. He got somebody to sleep with him like 9 months ago, or however old that baby is now. Not too old. Happy birthday, sir. Chomo. I don't know what that is. Sorry. But happy birthday, sir. Harry Legg is correct. The NCAA, and we'll definitely get into that too, because that's a mess in its own part. Oh, God. Not reading that on the air, you goofball. Oh, I got something I got to share with y'all after the break. You guys will appreciate. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Nick Saban says this.
But I know the consequence is going to be difficult for the people who are spending tons of money to get players. And you've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it.
Yeah, the other funny part about that entire conversation, there's about 17 minutes of it that are up online. He rips collectives. That's one other thing that's kind of funny. Oh, the collectives are bad because the coach he knows how much money's in the collective. But then he says about 3 minutes later, oh, we have a collective. Talk about talking out both sides of your mouth there, Coach Saban. I mean, he legitimately said that. Oh, collectives are bad, but we have a collective. Well, of course you do. Every Power 5 team does. It's not against the law. You can make an argument that Texas A&M had a jump on everyone because they had a collective first, and Jimbo Fisher utilized that for a recruiting advantage. Okay. I mean, if you really want to go with if you really want to go with that, that's fine. But you're doing the same thing, sir. In reality, that's kind of how it comes down. Jay normally has nothing to say but silliness, but today Jay is on point. He said, I do like that he tried to defend himself, but there is no good guy in this situation. Both are shady. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. He also says Kirby is sitting on top of the hill, drinking in his lounge chair, looking at the minions fighting each other to get to him. Yeah, you're not going to hear that. You know what? I goof on Kirby Smart, but Kirby Smart's not going to call a press conference because of something Nick Saban said. Because he has the mentality of, and this is with a lot of coaches, I have to run my football program. I don't really give a damn what you're doing down there in Tuscaloosa. We're trying to build a program to beat you. You can go out there on the rubber chicken circuit and talk all the stuff that you want. That's the mentality that coaches should have. But I said this a couple weeks ago when Narduzzi was talking about his Biletnikoff wide receiver possibly going to Southern Cal or wherever. Here's the big thing on that. These coaches have got to stop complaining about it, especially considering the fact that they are doing the same thing now. You're telling me this isn't happening at Alabama, Pittsburgh, wherever? It's stupid. Now, Nick Saban, obviously, he's a competitive individual. He's upset that they got the number one ranked recruiting class. So, yeah, he's upset about that. That wasn't really the way to handle it, though. But you know what the cool part is? Even though Jimbo Fisher says, oh, I'm done with him, you got to face off with this guy. And in this fall, you got to look across the sidelines across the field at this guy, and your two teams are going to have to go at it. So the idea of not confronting this stuff is out the window. I can guarantee you that is going to be one of the most watched games of the college football season. It's already going to be big anyway. Already going to be huge. And now it's going to be even bigger. All right, taking your calls at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Jimmy's got a great question. He says Mike Sly, but I think he's talking about Greg Sankey. Where is Greg Sankey? Should he be in the mix and telling them, hey, maybe you guys should shut up? I don't know if that's his job or not. It's not like he can call and monitor everyone's schedule and tell Jimbo Fisher, hey, dummy, don't have a press conference because your feelings got hurt. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Robert, Billy, how you doing today?
Hi, Billy. You're not going to yell at me today, are you? I don't know if if you do,
no.
I'm going to have to call a press conference
My
and
wife said
complain
she'd
about
take the
it.
phone away from me. She said she'd take the phone away from me.
Your wife is a
So,
fan of me, isn't she? She doesn't want you yelling at me.
Yes,
she is.
yes, exactly.
All right, what you got for the show?
She got all over me last week for yelling at you like that. So anyway,
All right.
I think you're missing the point on this, and I'm not taking a position, but first of all, NIL is legal. But when you have a coach, and I'm not going to say Nick Saban or any coach, call your team out specifically, yes, you're calling a news conference. Tell me if you had a football team and Saban accused you of what he accused Fisher, you would have to defend your team. Yes, you would. And that's what he did.
Well, I mean, Jimbo Fisher called, what was it, Lane Kiffin a clown. And Lane Kiffin didn't call a press conference because he hurt his feelings because he called him a clown.
Well, I got you, and that's whataboutism. But what we're talking about is Saban going out on the funnel cake tour in Alabama, and he specifically pointed out Texas A&M. So yes, Jimbo Fisher called a conference, and those niceties that Jimbo said to him, that was before this happened. So yeah,
But,
they're not going to send Christmas cards to each other this year.
Well, let
okay?
me look, and I'm not trying to be combative with you, sir, but he said in his press conference today, look back at the stuff that he has done, and he said, I've coached with him. Those were his exact words. Now, after he coached with him, he said things like this.
Listen, Nick is one heck of a football coach. I've known Nick for years. I've considered him a great friend. Coach with him, have a lot of respect for him, and he's got great teams.
If you say that, you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth, right?
When did he say that, Rob? When did he say that?
He said that after that clip was after they beat them last season.
Okay, that's last year. But now Saban's come out and accused his team of cheating. I don't understand what the problem is. If I was the coach and I had coached with him or knew him before and he seemed to be a nice guy, now he calls me out because I got the #1 recruiting class, of all people to do that, of all people. That's rich.
And I get where you're coming from with that. But if you say look into his past, then you already knew these things. Does that make sense?
Sure, he did. And there's just some things that's kept underneath the rug, like, whatever. But that's just what. Now let's go to this recruiting thing. I'm gonna have to side with Peg and Megan on this one. Recruiting does have a correlation with national championship.
It does, and I agree with him upon that. But you can have great players, but if you don't develop them, it doesn't matter. Georgia should theoretically have, 3 national titles out of the past 12 years with the top-ranked recruiting classes they had. They had the talent there, right?
Well,
I mean, is that not a valid point?
How many should Saban have then on that theory?
I mean, Saban's won. How many has he won at Alabama? I'm not being a smart aleck. I just really don't know.
I think he's got 6.
Okay, he's got 6.
Top recruiting classes. He's been in top 1 or 2 every year for the last 14 years.
Right.
So is he not developing players, or is he not doing a good job?
But he's won 6 national titles. I don't know how many times he's been #1 in the country, though. I don't know. I have to look at that because that Georgia normally takes that thing home.
But what you're saying is, if you've got a top recruiting class and you're not winning natties, you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Well, I mean, but
I don't agree with that.
So if you get the #1 ranked recruiting class, are you just trying to go to the Liberty Bowl? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to get? I mean, his classes were ranked at Texas A&M. They average out to about 6. Okay, and he ducked Wake Forest from a bowl game last season.
Oh, here we go. Do you realize Mark Richt lost his job in the past because he had to play Alabama every so often in the regular season, then had to play him again in the SEC tournament? Sometimes right. your schedule, your strength of your schedule just kind of beats you down.
I mean, I guess losing, having a 500 record against the Pirate is just hard. It's just really hard.
Well, that's one case. That's one case. But anyway, enjoy the show.
I hope that you call during football season when
you don't need to have a Billy Cole blowout now. Just calm down.
You think I'm upset? Oh, bless your heart, sir. That's not happening. Come on, man.
Later.
You have a great day. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I didn't want to get Billy upset and get his blood pressure up. Have his wife calling me. I don't need that. Or just messaging us on the program here. That's not good either. Billy Coke blowout. That's great. Uh-oh, Lee, that's not good. I got comments from an Arkansas fan on Twitter. You guys want to hear that? Hilarious. Arkansas fan, he's pretty funny. We'll give him that. Got an Arkansas fan that tweets. I don't know if he says he's listening to the show. I don't know. We'll see. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. We welcome all here on the program. Folks that on Twitter, I'm going to read a couple of comments here from @bring_show. He says, pretty sure Jimbo has the same record as Kevin Sumlin did in his first 4 years at A&M. Great stuff so far today, by the way. He says he loves listening. Thank you, sir, for checking out the program. Also, he says everybody is focused on these two while Sam Pittman is still silently building a monster. Oh, man. Arkansas fans are great. Pretty crazy. It's nice to hear from some Arkansas fans. Of course, all are welcome here on the Rundown. Brandon says, Rob, if Saban was such a bad coach to coach with, why was Jimbo his OC at LSU for 5 seasons? I mean, I've said the same thing. I mean, why would Jimbo Fisher say these things?
You know, I think, first of all, the consistency in which he goes to his job. But, you know, Nick, deep down, I mean, he's fun to have conversations with. I mean, he's just a very down-to-earth, good guy who cares about people.
Yeah. I mean, that's just out there. By the way, I want to play one more clip from Nick Saban about paying players. And I played a piece of it earlier, but what Nick Saban says here makes a lot of sense. And I think people get mixed up when they're talking about there's a difference between NIL and colleges paying players. And completely different thing here. But Nick Saban said this yesterday.
The thing that I fear is at some point in time, they're just going to say we're going to have to pay players. If we start paying players, we're going to have to eliminate sports. All right. And this is all bad for college sports. I mean, we probably have, 450 people on scholarship at Alabama, whether they're women's tennis players, women's softball players, golfers, baseball players, non-revenue sports that have for years and years and years been able to create a better life for themselves because they've been able to get scholarships and participate in college athletics. That's what college athletics is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be something where people come and make money and you make a decision about where you go to school based on how much money you're going to make.
All right, so I got to respond. Billy makes a comment in the chat room, and I want to address this because he says that was before Saban accused Jimbo of cheating. You're missing the point. No, I'm not. No, I'm really not. If he was that bad from before, and you're going to come out and say, look into his past, sir, you are a part of his past. You were his OC for 5 years at LSU. You should know everything there is to know about working for Nick Saban. So you're going to come out and say this, but then when he says something that offends you, then you're going to be like, well, you should check out his past. Sir, you are his past. Sorry. I mean, I hate to be the guy that comes off the top rope with that. And I'm not saying Nick Saban's a saint either. And I'm not saying that Nick Saban shouldn't be questioned. Okay? But in the end, for him to come out and be this petty, absolute, I mean, it's such a monumental level of petty. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Now, we're going to see, though, who is going to line up with Coach Saban. And there's going to file into two camps. There should be a third. The third camp should be, you know what? I'm going to pick a team from the SEC West, and I want them to win the division. And I want Texas A&M and Alabama fighting over the bowl scraps. Who gets to go to the, the Outback Bowl, and the other team gets to go to the Liberty Bowl? Let's all become fans of Mississippi State or Ole Miss. Let's let them win the West. Then these two guys that want to cry baby, they can sit there and hold hands together when they go to a bowl game that no one cares about. That's the way that it should be. That's what we should be. The third party there should be that way. It shouldn't be I side with Saban or I side with Fisher. No. Go the third route. Pick an SEC West team and hope that they can get their way through the schedule, and we don't have to deal with Alabama or Texas A&M in the SEC championship game. Georgia fans should be on board with that. It's a bye week then, right? That's what the SEC championship would turn into. All right, more of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Billy didn't use the term cheating. He said paid for them with NIL. He said paid for them with NIL. Cheating never came out of his mouth. So he didn't call him a cheater. He said paid for them with NIL, which is not technically against the law. Just saying he doesn't like it. I don't have a problem with that. Jimmy's right. Brian Kelly's like, yeah, you guys keep complaining. I like it. Jay, are you being sarcastic? Or do you truly believe that? Could you imagine if Kiffin did that? Oh my goodness. You know who would be the most pissed though would be Tennessee. Because they would have put up with it. They could have had Kiffin back then. Oof. It's not the same offense. Stop it, Billy. No, it's not. Final segment of the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. A couple of comments from the chat room. Jay says that Kiffin is running the West from now on anyway. It's a battle for second, in his opinion. Man, I tell you what, that would be epic. Wouldn't it be great to see Alabama and Texas A&M playing like, I don't know, December the 29th in a game no one cares about? Man, that would be just great. No one would like that. No one would like that. Billy's still hung up. He says Lane Kiffin is an offensive genius when he hurries up, and Heupel is a gimmick. Yes, it's a gimmick offense at Tennessee. I stand by that. I mean, it's not like Lane Kiffin runs up to the line as fast as he possibly can and tries to get plays where guys are out of position. That's not exactly what Lane Kiffin's offense does, but okay. Okay. Chris with a good point. Nick Saban does everything calculated. He's baiting Jimbo, and Jimbo fell for it. I like that comment. What if Nick Saban's kicking back and he's laughing? He probably was sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm bored with these rubber chicken dinners or funnel cake rallies. I think that's what Billy called them. I wonder if they give them funnel cakes, by the way. I like that. Funnel cakes are great. As a chunky guy, I can appreciate that. But I wonder if he was thinking, you know what? I got to go to this stupid meeting because there's going to be all these boosters and supporters there. Why do I have to do this? I'm Nick Saban. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to have some fun. I'm going to go out and I'm going to say some things, and we're going to make this fool down at Texas A&M lose his mind. Watch. I'm going to have my petty torments. That's exactly what what could have happened. I wonder if Nick Saban would do that. Now, the funny part will be if he comes out in when is that game? Does anybody remember that game? When is that game of this fall? I can't remember the date on it. But if he comes out this fall and he ramrods Texas A&M, and then he'll go and shake his hand and laugh about it. Maybe he'll walk up to him, shake his hand, and goes, "Still don't want anything to do with me? Still don't want anything to do with me? By the way that you built your program is, you're trying to build it to be just like mine. That's what you want to do. Who doesn't want to be Alabama as far as the consistency that they have in being a top 5 team? No one wants to be an 8-4 Texas A&M team. Hope Nick Saban shakes his hand and looks up at him, because I'm sure that he's shorter than Jimbo Fisher, and says, "You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. You keep trying to be me. Congratulations on that fluke win last year," because that's kind of what it was. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I don't know if I should read Jay's comment or not, but basically he says, does these two coaches threatening each other remind you of two people arguing and threatening to, yeah, okay. Good point, Jay. You can read all the comments from the chat room by following the Fox Sports Radio 1400 Facebook page. Also, if you want to hear the full comments, you can check that out on the blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com. Got the comments from Saban and the comments from Jimbo Fisher, who I think from now on, we're going to refer to him as Petty Fisher. Just petty. Petty, petty, petty. Kirby's visor says, you'll never hear Jimbo try to call out Kirby unless he wants to get punched in the mouth again. Yeah, can you imagine Kirby Smart throwing a punch? That women's golf visor falling off his head as he threw it. That would be great. Having those two square off. Jimbo Fisher and his fake cowboy belt buckle. That stupid hat that he wears. Yeah. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial. Tennille says, I think Saban is bitter because he doesn't respect A&M like he does Georgia. He barely took the loss to UGA. I bet he's still steaming about A&M. Well, I mean, Saban did say in the press conference after the national championship, well, we're still SEC champions. I mean, he did still say that. Let's not put it out there that Nick Saban's not petty, because he is. He is. He did say that in the press conference, though. Let them know, hey, you guys didn't win the conference, which was kind of silly. I mean, because Georgia just handed in their butt on the field. So there's that. I'm still battling a cold, man. It sucks. I've been taking these cough drops and, it's a mess. Peg and Megan says, how about referring to him as a national championship coach? Yes, I'm sorry. Kirby Smart won the national title. Peg and Megan's one of those guys that, like, he has to be told every day he's pretty. Every single day, he has to be told that they're pretty. Thanks to Bring the Show, sending me the message on Twitter saying the Bama A&M game is October the 8th. Yeah. What was it Lane Kiffin said? Get your popcorn ready, right? We'll be lined up and jacked up for that game. You know what? I'm going to put it on the bookcase of accountability right now. Saban and Alabama win that game by 3 scores. Putting it on the bookcase of accountability right over there. Right next to my Dan Marley Suns jersey that I don't get to wear because we're not in the NBA Finals. Yep. Alabama wins that game by 3 scores. Not very many people are going to come at me with that. Oh, wow. Oh, Peggy Megan says, talking about Jimbo. Yeah, Jimbo won a national title. He didn't win it at Texas A&M, though. I value where you coach now. So there's that. Jimmy says it's easier to be petty when you're winning. Very good, Jimmy. Jimmy's come with some good stuff today. Appreciate him joining the program. Tomorrow is the Friday edition of the Rundown. We'll have everything from USFL picks, because people seem to like it when I pick USFL games. Big Barney Ross says, if Texas A&M doesn't win it all, it'll be a free-for-all on trolling Jimbo like Tennessee. Yeah. I mean, look, to give you a sneak peek into my predictions for the upcoming season, I don't think that there's anybody that thinks that Texas A&M is supposed to win a national title this year. Let's be honest. They don't know who their quarterback is. Okay? They really don't know who that is. Unless someone comes and develops quickly and has a crazy effect on that offense in the first season, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we think they should win a national title this year. But I do think that people are thinking, you know what? The next season, with that record recruiting class, they should be right there in the mix. I have a problem with that logic, but I mean, hey, we got to get through this season first. Kirby's Visor saying Saban might hang 100 on the Aggies if he can. Peg and Megan says, are you saying it's harder to win a natty in the SEC? I mean, Dabo Swinney, the last time he played Nick Saban, he won by 28 points. I mean, that happens. All right, tomorrow we'll have more for you on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. You make it so easy, Peg and Megan. You really do. Big Party Ross. If I spend $40 million on production, they better produce. That's right. All right, appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Great show.